Hey everybody, this is Nihar Kulkarni, a managing director of Roswell NYC, here with one of my closest colleagues and friends, personal and professional, the legendary Roddy Smith, director of partnerships at Clear.io. What's going on, man?
Oh man, busy, busy. First and foremost, thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
Of course, man.
And I think we also just quickly need to talk about, did you get an award or something this week?
I mean, it is a Wednesday, so it does happen like that. I'm just kidding. That sounds so arrogant, but yeah, no, we did absolutely. I appreciate that. No, thank you, Roddy, for pointing that out. We did win an award this week. I was on the way to a meeting on Tuesday morning, and I looked at my email, and we were nominated for a Webby for the DVF.com Diane von Furstenberg, and found out Tuesday morning we won in the shopping and retail category. But thank you for that recognition. I appreciate it.
Congratulations. You should be damn proud. It's a nice looking site. Well earned.
Thank you, man. I am, and you know what? It really was a team effort. I mean, ultimately, the relationships start with the business development, sales strategy team, both professional and personal, and then but when the rubber hits the road, the delivery team really needs to make it happen. I think all pistons were firing at the same time. It was a definite challenge of a project in a very good way. We approach each project at Roswell with the integrity that it requires. Our motto is that we're in the business of building businesses, and we apply that to every project that we do. And I think we definitely hit it out of the park with this one. And I appreciate
Nailed
your
it.
recognition and the industry's recognition. May 12th, the awards ceremony are coming in, and yeah, I'm going to be in my best and finest. I'll be wearing a black tie suit. That
Love it.
happens like what is it? Every blue moon or something like that. I don't know, but hey, I'll be there. Should be exciting. Alana Glazer is hosting, so it should be fun.
Cool.
And yeah, man. But enough about me and Roswell. Well, sidebar, we did just become a Shopify Premier Partner 2 weeks ago, so I got to slide that in.
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, let's talk about you, Roddy. So I've known you for almost a decade now. Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about yourself. How you came to be in this crazy, insane business that we're in. What makes you tick? What do you enjoy? What do you not enjoy? Just tell us about how you got in and what you're doing now.
Yeah, cool. So, yeah, I'm Roddy. I am the director of partnerships at Clear.io. So, Clear.io is, we've got 25 odd apps under our umbrella and 50,000 merchants globally using our products. Out of those 25, there's sort of six showcase products that where we really focus our effort and work on. And those are reviews.io, Influence, Boost, Address Validator, Rich Returns, and Viral Sweep. So those out of those six products, they sort of really hit four pillars for a merchant. So whether that's acquisition, increasing conversions, increasing AOV, and increasing LTV, and then different mixes of those six flagship products all sort of work together to hit those different pillars depending on what the merchant is focusing on.
And you're director of partnerships for all of that, all of Clear, right?
For North America. So I've got my colleague Nick, who's over in Europe, and then we've got a team down in APAC as well. But I help out in Australia every now and then because I used to live down there and still
Yeah.
have some connections down there. But yeah, I've been here for a little over a year now, but been in the e-commerce game for a decade or so, and that's how I know you. So
Do you remember how we met?
I was thinking about this, and I think I can't remember if it was the first Shopify Unite or the second Shopify Unite in San Francisco where
It
we
was
first met.
It was the second one. I remember clearly. It was 2017. You were there with Pep. Remember we met through
Yeah.
Pep? And you were at Nextopia at the time. And I
Yep.
remember we were outside of the hotel. I forgot what it was. It was in San Fran when San Fran was the spot to be at.
And
Back then.
that's the year of the blackout when the power went out.
I remember that. That's
Yeah, I was
right.
on like the 12th floor and had to carry my suitcase all the way down after like the next morning after the big night and after party where they had it at like town hall or whatever it was in that
Totally.
really cool venue. That was a cool spot and a late night.
Yeah, and I think you and I have talked about this at conferences for a while. I mean, being in this industry for, a decade now, the challenges that we had when we were first starting out, maybe 10, 12 years ago, are way different than they are now. I mean, I think it's because of,
Wildly different.
yeah. And do you think it's because of and that's what I wanted to ask you. Do you think from a partnership standpoint and with the role that you have kind of matriculated in and myself, going from Roswell being 8 people then now to 50, and you're going from a BDR role into an AE role, and then now into director of partnerships role. Correct me if I'm wrong here on any of that
No,
background.
you're right.
But as is it that we've moved up in our role and our responsibilities, and we're getting older? Let's be honest, that we look at things differently, or do you think that the industry as a whole has changed from a partnership sales and just merchant servicing standpoint?
I think it's all changed. Like
In
at
a
the
good way?
risk of sounding old, it's like back in the day. Like I remember when we were talking about like whether a website was like responsive or like reactive, like going to mobile. Like
Yeah.
when the mobile first was
Oh,
like the big thing. When now that's just it's just what it is. Like you don't think about that because websites are fine on mobile,
yeah.
and it's like this whole mobile first thing. Like I remember when that first came out, and then I feel like we've moved through a few different phases. There was like the rise of headless and composable. There's at the same time like the rise of personalization and customization,
Oh God.
and I think through that we've seen the expansion of like ecosystems, and that's where like the partnership play comes into the mix here, where at this when I started as an AE at Nextopia,
Yeah.
and I
I
just sort
remember
of
that.
yes, exactly, it just sort of gravitated towards partnerships because I'm, I think I focus on relationships, and like I'm not like a quick sales type guy. I wanna know who I'm working with, and I want to like who I'm working with.
Yeah.
And I think that is where like the partnerships angle comes into it. And I think a lot of salespeople who move into partnerships are those like relationship based people who are good at building relationships and maintaining those relationships. And I
Absolutely.
think Shopify's ecosystem, in the early days, there weren't a ton of apps out there. And
Yeah.
so there were a few of us, and then starting to do this partnerships thing where it's like, well, hey, we should integrate with you over there. And then, hey, you're an agency who's helping the merchant with that, like setting up that integration in like a flow in Klaviyo or whatever it is. And it just sort of became this natural sort of trifecta between like agency, tech, and platforms all sort of working together.
Totally, man. And for those that are watching right now, ultimately that's my phone, but it is what it is. I'm on with Roddy, and that matters more. But for those of the for those out there that are listening right now, I can say without any egotistical element or anything in my head that we are part of the OG crew from the e-commerce ecosystem, and we've been here doing it for well over a decade. And the relationships that we have stood the test of time. We came up when we became a Klaviyo partner. Roswell did when they were 25 people, a Recharge partner when they were 15 people, and now these are Klaviyo's public. Recharge is multi-billion-dollar valuation, a couple hundred people, and so on and so forth. For those that are listening right now, what is your recommendation to them on how they can kind of strategically work their way into the partner ecosystem in a way that doesn't make it seem like they're just trying to just fit in, like where they can actually imprint and make a statement on everything. Like what should they do?
That's a good question. I get asked this a fair bit. I think a lot of people want to get into partnerships because they see, the selfies at events. They see you going to Austin, Texas for an agency conference, or you're going to Vegas for Shop Talk, or you're, New York for NRF, bouncing all over the place. And sure, that's like, it's like that's the Instagram life. It's not where the real work gets done.
No.
And I don't think a lot of people see that a lot of partnerships people move in silence. And like, there's a whole lot more behind the scenes going on. For somebody to get into partnerships or somebody just starting out in partnerships, I think we're at a time now where there's a lot more content out there about it. When I started in partnerships, there wasn't a whole lot. There was sort of like the Microsoft channel sales, like kind of more archaic view of things where it's like you
There
give
wasn't
leads.
there was no Slack. We were using Skype. Some people use
Yeah,
WeChat. There was no Crossbeam. There was no partner directories. None of that. I mean, you just had to figure it out. And it was all relationship based, right?
exactly. And like, I was running stuff out of spreadsheets, and like the first partner program that I truly built, shout out Spently, an app that I was
Okay.
one of the founding members at. We used Refersion, that we jerry rigged Refersion to into Shopify's billing API to be able to track when like one of your when Hat Heaven has, their subscription has gone through for Spently. That's how we were managing like the rev share component of it, and then all the relationship stuff was done via like Salesforce and using like a CRM. Like I didn't PRMs didn't really come around until, well, I don't know, four
Well,
four or 5 years ago,
if that, yeah.
with like Partner Stack, and then now there are some real challengers coming out there with like Euler, Partner.io. Someone just mentioned Harry from Gas Agency. Just mentioned another cool one. He's looking at Lasso. So there's a whole bunch, and there's a lot more content out there. Partnership Leaders is doing a really great job of pushing out content on how do you enable partners, how do you activate them, all the different phases. Because like partnerships is a funnel, just like anything else. It's just a funnel that's going to then feed into a PLG or an SLG motion, and you got to manipulate it a little bit differently depending on the agency that you're working with, depending on what they like, how they want to operate. And I think that's one thing that people sort of struggle with is each relationship is different.
And I'm going to go so far as to say the best PRM is right here in your head. I mean,
Yes.
I think you become an OG when you can go into a room or into a shop talk event or whatever the case may be, and you know who's who, what's what, and you can strike conversations and establish relationships without having to pull up your phone to understand and look up notes and so on and so forth. So I think anybody who's listening out there, the key to partnership relationship management as a whole is to become a partner, become a friend, be real, and
Yeah.
have that integrity that to understand that, you and I met professionally, and now I consider you one of my closest friends. We talk
I've
about
napped on your sofa.
you sure have. Yeah, before you had to get on your flight at like 5 in the morning or whatever it was.
Exactly. I think my shirt's still at your house.
It is, yeah. I'll bring it to Editions.
Okay.
Yeah, in a month. Speaking of which, what is your prognosis on Editions? Back in the day, we just talked about Unite earlier. Unite was fantastic. It was again, it was young days. The Partner program had just launched. Everybody kind of knew everybody, and again, it's the
Mm-hmm.
OGs that developed that relationship. And then after the pandemic, it kind of went away from what it once was, and it's been replaced by Editions. Good, bad, better?
I think it's good. I like it. They had there was a period where like they did one Shopify Unite in Toronto. That was like 2 years ago, and then I think they rolled to the edition sort of style with like the winter editions and summer editions. And I think the summer editions has really replaced the Unite of old. They
Yeah.
also played a little bit with there was like the Enterprise Summit that they did one year. But I think they've sort of landed on editions where like all the Shopify team comes in for like their early on bits, and then there's like the releases and a bit more of the Unite content that we were used to seeing previously. So I'm looking forward to it. It's always fun watching the updates. Shopify is always going to throw out a curveball or two, and you sort of look around the room and see like, is that going to impact your app? Is that going to impact how you do things? I think there's going to be a whole lot more about AI. Just is even a
Yeah.
podcast if you don't mention AI.
No, it's not.
So it's like we're going to see some updates on that space, and I think we were talking earlier about the Chat GPT Perplexity thing.
Yeah.
How deep is that going to go?
I mean, like, and let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, every so often the interface of the way you interact with shopping changes. It used to be
Mm-hmm.
brick and mortar in the mall, and then it was on your computer, and now people are buying on their phones. Now, in terms of Shopify Pay, Shop Pay rather, integrating with ChatGPT that was just recently announced, Perplexity as well too. What do you think? Is that just another headless sort of concept? Or is that actually going to be a dynamic shift in terms of the way consumers are actually buying things now? Because, and I'll say one more piece before you answer that question, is that in my study of ChatGPT and the rest of them out there, is that it's more for research. It's more for gathering information. But then when the rubber hits the road and you actually want to make the purchase, you get on your computer and you buy. Like back in the day, mobile was just for browsing. It was window shopping. And then when you wanted to buy, you went to your desktop and you purchased, right? Is that what you're saying? Or do you think that this is really a play that ChatGPT and Perplexity can be that new interface where you're actually buying?
I don't know. I see like there's a few different angles I could see this going. Um, One example being like, I think it will change like grocery shopping, for example. I already use it to use ChatGPT to do, meal planning and then get it to put together a grocery list. And then I have seen, I haven't done it myself where it's like, okay, is there a connector to like, Loblaws that we had the grocery store we have here in Toronto to tap into that, to pick all the things from that store and then do your order off the menu that you planned and then you get it delivered to your house. I
Yeah.
think I see that working well. I still think there's going to be an element of like the website, the experience, the like looking at things. I don't think I'm going to buy, I don't know, like jeans through ChatGPT. One, I generally I'm tall, so like I need to know the brand, and I'll go back to that brand's website. So I think loyalty is going to play a key part in bringing people back to your actual website. I think the experience as well, like brands that tell stories, people are going to go there because it's a nice looking site, because it tells a story. There's more to it. I think like transactional things like ChatGPT, I need toilet paper, and then it plugs into your Amazon Prime and you have it there in 20 minutes because we're lazy and everything comes immediately.
Of course.
I think that will happen. I don't see it as like headless. I see it more as like it's going to be a channel. And I think it's going to be a channel that will work for certain brands and certain products. But I don't know, maybe I'm being old here and I'm happy for anybody to prove me wrong on this, but I don't see it becoming ubiquitous with online shopping.
I agree with you. I mean, ultimately, I use Amazon for my basics and essentials. I mean, if I need, I went to a dermatology appointment the other day, and they said you need to get XYZ, in terms of skincare routines and whatnot. On my way home in the Uber, I would just bang, bang, bang right on Amazon. It was done.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like if I'm gonna get a gift from my wife, if I'm going to, get a jacket, or if something that requires a little bit of a thought process where you need
Mm-hmm.
that virtual tactile experience of actually seeing the product, I'm not getting that through Amazon. And
Yeah.
furthermore, Amazon, as I've always said, is the world's largest vending machine. You can get anything you want and best price, best deliverability, best variety. But at the end of the day, Amazon isn't what's in my closet, and
Yeah.
so I think you're right about that. I think that there are certain verticals and channels, CPG definitely,
Yeah.
um, that will work, but then for goods that require a little bit more of a thought process in terms of how it is going to impact your lifestyle. You know what it is? Jen Gray, CMO over at Recharge, came up with this concept, and she talked about it at the Recharge, not this year, but last year, or it could have been the year before. I've been to so many of them. Shout out to Oshin O'Connor and Rob Barr over at Recharge, and Lindy Crea too. But um, I remember what she said talk about was what's called the routine economy. And that's what you really
Mm.
want to be a part of. The routine economy is that when I use the same toothpaste in the morning. I use my dog has the same food. It's all that recurringness, and that's a brand really needs to aspire to be in the routine economy. And I think that's where ChatGPT, Perplexity, and even Amazon for that matter can really win. On the
Yeah.
Shopify front, though, imagine if the Shopify marketplace and whatnot, implemented a chat feature like that, where you would be able to go in and out of the millions upon millions of stores worldwide, they produce results for you. I think that's a play for Shopify, and I think that's my prediction. You heard it here first. I think Shopify is going to do that in the near future. You don't think?
I don't know. It's like, how do you the algorithm around that to figure out which stores to show first, who's going to get the priority ranking? It's like a whole new layer of SEO that like I don't understand it.
GEO, by the way, GEO. So I just heard this the other day. There's a new term coming out called generative engine optimization. So
Makes sense.
it's
Yeah.
it's coming, man. So basically, optimizing yourself so that you show up in the responses from the GPTs and whatnot out there.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like a world where you're using ChatGPT so much that it knows what you like. So let's say for me, it's like it knows that I like these brands. I tend to like merino wool and like cotton, ideally made in Canada. These colors, and it like does ChatGPT understand you so well that you put in like I need a new outfit, or I'm going on vacation and I need some new bathing suits, and it's like it knows what you like and then shows you those results. I could see that happening, but then I feel like I would still click into them and then go to the site to poke around a little bit. And
Yeah,
I think the other thing with it is, I don't know, there's something to be said for going out and looking at these things. There are
sure.
certain products that you want to touch, feel, that you want to like see before you buy. And, like, I don't know, ski boots. I would
Yeah,
never buy ski boots online because you want to see how they fit, how they feel. You got to stand in them a little bit.
yeah.
Hockey skates, same. A TV, I probably wouldn't buy online because I want to go look at it and like, see what the picture's like, or like talk to them about like how it will plug into my other stuff. I don't know.
Again,
Things like that.
is that because we're Gen Xers? I mean, the millennials and Gen Zs that are listening in right now, please comment and come back to us if you think that you could do that. Because ultimately, what the GPTs out there are going to be doing is basically, or the chatbots rather, are going to be coming back in and they're going to be collecting the reviews. They're going to be showing you supportive content. Like you can ask them, what's the star rating on this? What are some of the good reviews and the bad reviews on that product?
Hmm.
Things like that. I think conversational commerce, e-commerce rather, is something that it's foreign to me. It's not how I operate. But then again, I had my first email address when I was in college too. So it's. I think it is a generational gap. But what do you think, Rob?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm showing my age and that, like, I'm stuck in my ways where there are certain things that I still want to touch and feel and, like, go into the store. I think there's also a certain element of, and where, you go to the mall, you're like, I need some new t-shirts, but you're not set on where you're getting them from.
No.
You might know that there's a few stores that you want to hit, so you go check them out, and maybe you get one from each. So I think, and again, does the younger generation do that? Is that a thing anymore? I don't know.
I mean, and speaking to the younger generation, I mean, do you think that and AI merging it all together? I think Toby Lutke from obviously everybody knows CEO founder of Shopify released that statement that all new hires must there's a caveat that if all new hires have to prove that their job can't be done with AI, right? What's your thought process on that? Good, bad? Is it the way the world's going? I mean, it is what it is.
I think it's the way the world's going. I think people are maybe saying like he's the first one at like a large company to say this is happening. So just because he is the loudest one talking about it, I think people are a bit surprised by it.
Sure.
But I feel like it's going to be the norm because like if you're not using Chat GPT in your job on a daily basis, like
You're going to get left behind.
you're exactly like it just makes so many things so much easier. Like I have a terrible habit of writing garbage notes when I'm on calls and just like typing away at it. And then I just have like, I just plug it into
Totally.
ChatGPT, it cleans them all up.
Yep.
Because I find note takers annoying. And people are probably saying, why don't you use a note taker, Roddy? I find them annoying having them on all the calls. I don't know. So then I feel like, I don't know.
That's
Again,
fair.
maybe.
No, 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 it's 100%, 100%. And I think you hit the nail on the head. And I think the topic we're dancing around that I've heard many times is AI is not going to take jobs away from people. It's going to take
Mm,
jobs away from people who don't use AI. That's
yeah.
that's kind of like what I've been hearing, and I try to stay on the cutting edge as much as I can, which is so challenging because you hear something new coming out every day. I mean, I had a colleague of mine reach out and ask me if I knew of any good photographers in the Minneapolis area for shooting some action shots of her and her team in the office. And before I even responded, I was like, I pulled up Sora, pulled off her LinkedIn image, dumped it into Sora, and I was like, I basically did a prompt, basically saying, show this person as the lead actor with supporting characters as in a working collaborative environment, and like that, done. And I sent it back to her, and she instantly responded like, "How did you do that?" Like it was like some type of magic. You know what I mean? Like some type
Yeah.
of sorcery. And I was like, this is where we're at right now. And so for the one thing that AI doesn't do, from what I understand, is inception, creative,
Mhm.
the original idea. It can mimic, but it can't come up with that concept yet. And I think that's where, if you understand that, that's where you have the advantage as a human.
It's all in the prompts. You
Yes.
need to it's like a dog. The dog isn't going to sit unless you teach the dog how to sit. You got to teach it to sit.
Yeah.
And I think like you're bang on with like images and things like that. I will say like I did one. So I run like the Toronto and Ottawa partner meetup.
Yeah.
We've actually got one going today in Ottawa. Bowling. If you're in Ottawa, go check it out. And then for editions, we also have one coming up on the May 29th. It will be the what did we call it? The e-commerce corral.
Yes.
Or the editions e-commerce corral. Bring your Canadian tuxedo, which is double denim. That will be the theme. So what I did was I just took an image from one of the previous events and I said, can you show these people wearing all denim? And then it just like changed it. But like,
that was on the
yeah.
I checked. Wow.
Exactly. It looked a little funny. Like I tried to do another one of like Caitlin James and I. And because I was leaning against like a pool table in the picture, it didn't pick up on that, and then just turned me into like this like a shorter version of myself that didn't quite look like me. So like that was using ChatGPT. It probably should have used Sora, which is much better for images, but like it also kind of made me laugh, and so I was like, I'm just going to use these ones because it's funny.
100%. Yeah, I'll be there without a doubt, man. I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, spending time with you is always a joy. I want to shift a little bit of gears and want to focus a little bit, talk a little bit about the mission of Clear.io, what you're trying to accomplish, where you see it going for the rest of 2025 and beyond, whether it has implications of AI. I mean, you talked about the different platforms, the pillars, and everything like that. But what's your vision? What's your dream? Where do you see it going, and how is it going to impact merchants in a positive way?
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, there's a lot going on in the economy right now. Margins.
Yeah, hold up a second. You're Canadian, and we'll come back to that in 1 second, but I do want to ask your opinion. Are you seeing changes on Canadian shelves based on the tariffs and everything that's happening right now? Like you're in Toronto,
Yeah.
I'm in New York. Like, spill the tea.
It's like I'm definitely seeing like shopping patterns change. I talk to my friends about it, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm buying strawberries and apples from Mexico and avoiding ones from California through our winter. I'm looking at things to see if it's made in Canada and buying that first, even if it costs maybe a little bit more." I don't think tariffs are the answer. I'm no economist, and I don't want to go deep into this. It's just we're your closest ally, your best friend, and I just feel like there's other targets out there that make a lot more sense. It's like Canadians aren't thrilled about it, and like
you be. Yeah, I mean, I don't think many Americans are thrilled about it, to be honest. I mean,
yeah,
we're all on the same team, just have a different coach, unfortunately, right now. That's calling the shots that not everybody agrees with. It is what it is, and I think that what stands the test of time isn't the coach, but it's the players on both sides that are going to have to continue to work with each other in some way. So so shifting back to Clear, tell us about the vision of Clear for 2025 and beyond, and what you're seeing and how you can really impact merchants.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that we're doing is like just bringing a bit of like cohesion to like your tech stack. We've got like 6 flagship products that work very well together. Margins are getting tighter. We are bundling those products together and allowing you to reduce your total cost of ownership across your tech stack. We're seeing Klaviyo enforcing, profiles for their pricing. So we've seen a lot of like pricing increases for a lot of merchants. What we're doing is we've got a suite of best-in-class products that we have acquired. It's not like we've tried to build everything ourselves. You don't want to build a house with a Swiss Army knife. You want to have a hammer, you want to have a drill, you want to have a saw, you want to have the different tools.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've done is we've acquired the different tools that are, best in class in that category, and then put them all together in a nice bundled package. And from an agency perspective, it's nice because you get one partner manager or you get one enablement manager. From a merchant's perspective, you get one customer success manager, one bill. Where we're going with all of this is we're working on, we are building our own product to better and more seamlessly tie all of our products together, as well as pulling in other products. So I can't say too much because it's still very early days, and it'll be cool. And I think it's going to really help make things easier for merchants and for agencies as well.
Well, question for you on that note. I know that the entire Clear network of applications and suite of products has penetrated effectively in EMEA. What is
Yeah.
the strategy for North America? And is there a difference in terms of the strategy for Europe from a partnerships and sales standpoint than it is for North America?
Yeah, I think like it's slightly different markets. Like, we've got an office in Berlin. We've got a team that works through like Benelux, strong presence in the UK. And that was really from like the reviews.io team. Historically, not as much a presence in the United States. We do have an office out in Irvine, California. And, we're pushing more into the US market. And, there are some really good reviews products out there. Great. I'm not trying to push any of them out. I have friends at all the other companies. That's partnerships. We might work at competitors, but we'll still have a drink together.
Of course.
And let's say you absolutely love that one product. Cool. Use it. We have 6 others or 5 others that you can talk about. So, if the front door ain't open on reviews, then like maybe the side door is open on Boost, or maybe, address validator or whatever it is.
Is it a land and expand approach that you guys have?
Very much so. Yeah. It's like get one foot in the door and then like cross sell across the bunch. We're doing that with our merchants internally. For any new merchant that comes into us, it's like how can we get our other products into there to reduce the merchant's costs and make their life easier.
Love it, man. Roddy, we're going to have you on in the future. Again, I love talking to you. You are always welcome here. Want to give you a chance to do any shameless plugs, any shout outs that you want. And we'll have you on again in the future.
I don't know if I need to do any. I've already talked about the business. I already did a shameless plug of the partner meetup and the event that I'm running for Additions and the one in Ottawa tonight. But I guess when this comes out, that will be past.
What's the URL for the meetup? Is there a place that listeners can go to and check it out?
Yeah, it'll be up on my LinkedIn shortly. Just look for Roddy Smith. There aren't too many Roddys out there. Or if you see me in public, I'm very tall. You can find me very easily. I stand out like a sore thumb.
You do.
And always happy to chat. If you have any questions about what Clear.io is doing about partnerships and how to work within this ecosystem, I'm always happy to chat.
Got it. What's the best contact for you?
Hit me up on LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Is the easiest way. Or you can shoot me an email, Roddy at clear.io. Any of those work.
Appreciate you, Roddy. Love you, brother, and we'll have you on soon, okay?
Nothing but love for you too. Thank you for having me on. I greatly appreciate it. And looking forward to doing this again sometime.